Founder and director of the National Straight Pride Coalition, and this is Chapter 5 in a continuing video series of why America can be saved by straight pride parades. So earlier we're discussing philosophical foundations of why we need a parade, what do we expect to accomplish, what are we fighting for, what are we fighting against. And so we've discussed evolution so far, but we've discussed that in the context of two religious philosophies which are battling against each other: Christianity versus its opposite of Satanism, humanism. In Christianity, the LGBTQ movement is represented by the Satanist humanist religion. That is a religious foundation. And the Straight Pride Parade is representing Christianity. That's our religious foundation. We have two different standard bearers in that sense. We have Christ as the standard bearer for Christianity and straight pride parades. And the standard bearer for the LGBTQ community is the Marquis de Sade. So it's two completely opposite standard bearers. And that leads also into continuance of our question, in which we began in series number 4, chapter number 4. We're discussing the many different aspects of which we'll address in a parade, of why we need to defend such as masculinity. We began a discussion of what is a man. And we're saying that there is a difference between men and women, which are the normal, natural state of created beings, since we are created beings with a soul, versus males and females, who are the defective, warped, I'll call it mutated, men and women. They are inferior men and women because they've been downgraded. And they've been downgraded by what is known as sin, which is specifically, in this case, resentment or anger against their parents, which starts the breakdown process. It breaks their souls. So we're talking about broken souls. And those broken souls manifest in a spectacular array of different possibilities, such as depression, which we discussed as one end of the spectrum, and we can go all the way up to the homosexuality in another part of the spectrum, alcoholism, drug addiction. Any broken soul manifestation is what we're talking about. LGBTQ community members are manifestations of broken souls in this sexual category. They manifest themselves. Now they can have depression too, all these other things. But we're talking about specifically in this sense, in this warfront sense between the two religions. LGBT is a manifestation of the satanic humanistic religion. It is a broken soul which leads a person to be on that religious side of the battlefield. And specifically, we're talking about men. We're talking about men being downgraded into males. And so we're talking about an attack on masculinity. And we're talking about, in the Straight Pride Parade, is meant to celebrate what it means to be a real man. What does it mean to be a man? Versus what does it mean to be a male? Two very distinct ramifications. And as I said in the last chapter, because you show up in a particular gender with appropriate body parts for that gender, that doesn't mean that you're a man or a woman. A man or a woman is it's a spiritual condition beyond a physical condition. Mm-hmm. So you can have a man they have all the body parts, and they can still be a jerk. They can be a male. So you don't know the difference, but it's a spiritual quality manifesting itself out. And so what I'm leading to is there can never be any such thing as an LGBTQ man. It's impossible, because only males will be homosexuals. It's impossible to be a homosexual man. Why is that? Because homosexuality is a broken soul condition. It is a polarity like two magnets normally they would repel each other, north and north or south and south. But if you had the physical possibility of taking these two same magnets and doing what they shouldn't do, instead of naturally repelling, they somehow attract. It's a magnetic polarity change of the soul, where essentially you're looking at broken souls. When we have so-called pride parades, we're looking at broken souls, a mass number of broken souls. And in this sense, these broken souls are, let's use a modern TV version. We have the Walking Dead and the so-called vampires who are dead. Well, when they come back and bite a person, they can change them to the undead. Mm-hmm. And so what we're leading to is part of a whole spectrum of things we'll investigate. That is called social engineering. We have fantastic pressures to accept everything that's LGBTQ as normal, natural, healthy, and sane, which is the motto of our organization, when it is in fact the opposite. It is not normal, natural, healthy, or sane for a man to be attracted sexually to a man. What I'm saying is that there's some aberrant change in their soul. They are a broken soul in order to experience that. And so that broken soul is, as with the Walking Dead, they're not satisfied with just being that way. And we're talking about a whole war. Remember, we're talking about a war movement between two opposing war factions. There's no status such as I'm standing in front of a table now, and there's no such thing as evil on one side and good on the other side, where they shake hands and say, okay, evil, you're going to be on your side of the table, and we know you won't advance to this side, and we'll let you stay over there. We won't advance to your side. The good. Evil inherently is at war with good. And it must, by its very nature, just like scorpions sting by nature. They do what their natural inbred inclination is to sting. And so the natural inclination of evil is it must attack good, just by breathing. Every day when it gets up, it can't do anything but attack good. And so it must destroy what's good. So I'm leading back to masculinity. There is a broad range social engineering attack on men from the earliest ages, and it manifests in countless manifestations in our culture, such as in advertising, though, a few years ago. You could consider it was a joke, but there was an advertising by a hamburger firm, and they were saying, I think it was Wendy's or whatever, they were having a guy who was looking in the freezer case, and he looked at this, I think it was, or even an avocado. He had an avocado. He didn't know what to do with it. He tried to throw it in a blender without the whole avocado, because the idea that they were presenting, and the theme of the commercial was that without us, some guys would starve. So the idea is men are too stupid to figure out that you have to cut an avocado to eat it, or that you have to take fish out of plastic wrap. It was a guy who was looking at fish wrapped in plastic, and he's trying to figure out how to get to the fish, and he's going to throw the whole thing in a microwave, including in the plastic, because he's too dumb to figure it out how to get them out of the plastic to put them in the microwave. So it was a whole concept of men are stupid. And you see this throughout society. In earlier years, 40, 30 years ago, we had father knows best.
Right.
We had where the father was the leader of the family, the natural leader. But now in popular culture, men are too stupid to figure their way out of a paper bag, as in this commercial. And you never see any father knows best shows, because fathers are considered stupid and dumb. And so it's the women who are the superior brains. And why? And that comes through all facets of our society. Just boys being boys in school. There's some you're automatically diagnosed with attention deficit disorder.
Crazy.
And they're drugged down to slow them down, to stop them from being boys. And going to earlier ages, one thing of the Straight Pride Parade that we're opposing, we're going to stop, is called Drag Queen Story Hours. And Drag Queen Story Hours are an attempt to use a sequined degenerate with the bright colors reading a story to children. And what is the purpose behind this? The bright colors are to override the child's natural inclination to see there's something weird about this guy, which any normal child could pick up, but it's to override them, to have them accept the degeneracy of the reader. It's far more than, it's an extremely sophisticated social engineering program to break children at the youngest age and to overcome them. So we're looking at the spectrum of attacks against men all across our society. Do you ever hear any promotion of men going to college? You hear promotions now of women going to college in so-called STEM, science, technology, education, math.
Right.
But you never hear any promotion of men, because men are considered dumb and inferior. So what I'm leading to is we're defending masculinity. It's okay to be a man. There's nothing wrong with being a man. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's no such thing as a rape culture, which we hear promoted, which is an idea to demonize men automatically. Men are not born automatically as rapists, which is taught in feminist studies. It's okay to be a man. We're teaching that. We're supporting it. Masculinity is a good thing. So please continue in our series. We have a lot more to say about this, why we're doing what we're doing. God bless you and all that you do. NationalStraightPrideCoalition.org. Thank you for your time now.